Dear friends, welcome after a few days of interruption. To be honest, I wasn't feeling too well, but I'm back in plein forme, as the say French. And we will have a talk about village. It will be talk number 6. It is the talk which have two main themes which are interwoven. It is about establishing a village. I was talking how village function, etc., and all the wonderful things which can be done there. But first it has to come into some physical existence, right? So there are two main expenses involved, which we discussed in context of nucleus, and they are similar from that point of view, except if the village consists of nucleuses which are in a close cluster to make a village like normal villages, consisting of a smaller aspect, or just being as it is, consisting of individual households which are not too far. That makes the whole thing, the geography. So here it will involve acquiring a relatively large swath of land. If the nucleus needs 5-6 acres, here we are looking at maybe 120-150 acres. Depends of the size. But even 100 acres to buy agricultural land is not in one piece, is not easy, because it's rarely, or it is completely destroyed by very extensive modern architecture filled with all sorts of chemicals if it is a big farm. And it will take several years to come back to its more or less natural state. So it is the question of not only price of it, because it will be a combination of price of nucleuses, but also availability of such land, which might involve buying several existing farms. And one farmer may be happy to, say, retire and go, another not. So it will not be an easy thing and may cost more than several nucleuses, because let's say you bought a bunch of them and one farmer say, no, I have to be paid this and this, more or less reasonably, even unreasonably, and you have to try to convince him to sell. That the reality, we can't be idealistic and think that strong some powers of divine powers will help us. No, they won't. We have to have divine powers in our collective intelligence and ability to get money from the bank and ability to convince local authorities, and so on and so forth. I am at this point just saying it is a serious challenge. Once we have land, building the houses is actually less expensive than doing it on individual. It's not a multiplicity of cost of individual apartment for nucleus, because when you build several things, it's much less expensive, because if you know anything about the building houses, you can figure out, you can get better price of materials, etc., etc. And so let's say that that is all overcame, these challenges. We get the land and we got money to build the lodgings. It's great, and we could grow our own food. It's all great, but we have to pay the debt which we acquire, and that is that's a real challenge. However, in this case, we can, on the other hand, embrace into something much more adventurous than in nucleus. You know, in a village, discounting children and two old people who can't work too much, they are just holders of wisdom and taking care of raising children, but they can't work particularly physically too much. Well, they can give advice, etc. But finally somebody has to work. Before we will invent wonderful robots and we will by mind only steer these robots, that takes a while, and that's nice for science fiction. At this point, we have to do something which brings money, dirty, horrible money, because we live in capitalist state until. But without village, the whole vision of wisdom society is for nothing. You know, disperse little nucleuses will have no critical mass to influence the society. And they will not show that it is possible. So village is a critical step. Once village is established, it will be actually easier to create bigger units, which I will talk later on. So, few suggestions how village can produce money to pay the debts and pay other things which are necessary to properly and comfortably function. One is back to agriculture. I made, which you could do it on your own, probably better if you have some skills in this area. Notice that growing organic, or what we call organic or ecological or bio, whatever name it is, certain food in the winter is incredibly profitable, particularly the perishable things like raspberry, blackberry, etc. Why it is so profitable? Because they are extremely perishable, and once collected, they can quickly have to be delivered to the market. And within the village, since village can have its transport, etc., can distribute it immediately to various local bio or eco or organic stores, or even supermarkets are very happy, and you could see some astronomical prices in the winter, and they are not even bio, they are just fresh. So having greenhouse, protective environment, and heating them properly, there is, and even if there is not enough sun, it could be lit by various type of grow luxes, can produce the things actually, and it is done, some people make experiments, 3 crops a year. So 2 crops of that will be out of season, very expensive on the market, and they can incredibly bring an income to a village. But it doesn't whole thing to grow raspberries. I am laughing because I was obsessed once with these raspberries and talked to the whole world about advantages of growing raspberries. What it could be also, it can use its intellectual power. It can do all sorts of informatics, which are very profitable. Informaticians know what is marketable, and large group, it's a powerful company. And it can do some also research. It's very, very powerful. You do the research, and for somebody, all sorts of this kind of things. If the group of people cooperates and use their collective wisdom if needed, there are virtually colossal possibilities which we don't explore because such situation never arises in capitalism, except of workers' cooperative, which usually, in spite of that they not necessarily do very profitable things, usually we take over falling down company and not only surviving but doing fairly well. So there are precedences, but they are in very limited form. Here we have advantage that everybody lives basically in the place where he works. So whole thing of transport, of cars, of time wasted to drive to work evaporated, not even evaporate, it never existed there. So that is the advantage which a village have from purely capitalistic point of view. So that's as much about village I wanted to say. So I am just doing few suggestions. I am sure that group of people put their heads together, as one would say, will come with variety of similar or much better ideas. I just wanted to point out A, on the challenge, B, on a potential solution. So that is as much as I wanted to say today, and hopefully I will feel better and will do talks on a daily basis. Goodbye.